This NASCAR Darlington DFS Picks 2024 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. Sign up with Race SGPN as your promo code to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code Race SGPN. We're also brought to you by Royal Retros. Royal Retros has jerseys, t-shirts, hats, jackets, and sweatshirts from all the old school teams that you love. Use promo code SGPN for 10% off of your order today. That's code SGPN at royalretros.com.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Happy Friday and welcome to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He is Cody Zeeb. I am Rod Villagomez, and we have made it to the end of the week, which means we'll be
It's truck night in America. That's what that means, Rod.
Who cares what it means? It means that it's DFS day. It means that we will cover all three of the series because all three of them are in place and happening this time around. So nobody gets a special episode. You all get lumped together, and you're all going to like it. Where instead of giving you our low, high-price drivers and mid-tier drivers from each series, we'll give you a building block from each one of the three for our favorite DFS. And unfortunately, as the recording of this episode, there are no truck underdogs out, so we'll double up on one of our favorites from either the Cup or the Xfinity. So first and foremost, happy Friday, Cody. I'm glad we made it to the end of the week.
Yes, happy Friday. We made it here. Yeah, like I said, this truck night, truckers are racing this evening out in Darlington, so got a full weekend of racing. Continuing the throwback, Rod. I ran out of shirts, but I do have the David Stremme Lone Star Steakhouse number 40. This hat's actually autographed, so got the nice Stremme autograph up here. If you're watching over on the YouTube, Rod was looking around for something, but I think he didn't. Oh, you did find something.
No, I did find something because I ran out of apparel. I don't have any more NASCAR apparel. However, I do have the 01. This is Jerry Nadeau. This is from the Jerry Nadeau days. Yeah, I believe that is. That's not Nemechek. Or maybe it is Nemechek. No, that's Nemechek because that's a K at the end of it. So this is the John, not John Hunter, but the Joe Nemechek 01 Army.
Front row Joe.
Front row Joe. Yeah, I love this thing, man. This is one of my favorite.
I was at that. God, he won Kansas in that car in like 2004, I think. It was like a fuel mileage race or something like that. I was at that race as a child, Rod, but it's great.
You know what? And it's funny because, obviously I've been in the Army since 1994. So I just
have you really?
Well, yeah, that was when I initially left for basic training was 1994.
I was too, so that's great.
Yeah, well, listen, I was embarking on my adulthood and getting good and indoctrinated into the United States Army at that point. But yeah, but I mean, having that little passageway into a fandom, that 01 car every single week. I mean, Jimmy Johnson was my favorite driver, but right there next to it was that 01 car. It didn't matter who was driving it. I loved it.
There you go. I like it.
So, again, like we said, so we're going to talk about Darlington. It is, of course, the track too tough to tame, the lady in black, every other name that you can come up with that's intimidating for this track. That is what it is. Like Cody said, and like we talked about, all three series are in action. Trucks on tonight, as a matter of fact, Saturday, Xfinity, Sunday Cup. And we're going to have a great time talking about it and talking DFS with you. But I want to ask you, are you a hardcore baseball fan or just a degenerate sitting in an office looking for some afternoon action? I mean, if you're that hard up, I got something for you. Either way, though, you're going to want to make sure you subscribe to the MLB Gambling Podcast wherever you get your podcast. Of course, baseball in full swing right now. Honestly, Cody, I couldn't even tell you how my Giants are doing because baseball to me is so far off my radar. I forgot that they even had pitch clocks a while back, and I was like, what is this happy horseshit that I'm watching that they have to get this pitch off in 15 seconds? And then I remembered, oh, yeah, it's that stupid pitch clock. So that's how far out of touch with baseball I am.
Yeah, I'm going to go to a Royals-Yankees game. I'm a big Yankees fan here. So going to a game in June. That'll be the first game this season that I watch. But I've won money on plenty of games thanks to the MLB Gambling Podcast. So, again, you don't have to watch to win, much like this show. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to watch NASCAR, but if you don't, you can still win money. See?
Yeah. I mean, we do definitely try to get you as much as we can every single weekend. And most weekends we get you a pretty nice little bushel full of cash. So we're going to continue that streak. So we talk DFS for this Darlington Raceway. I'll tell you right now, as we shape up with this Darlington Raceway, it is the 1.366 mile paved track at Darlington, South Carolina, this Darlington Raceway. The Cup drivers will be running 367 laps around this. No, that's a 500. Rod, you got to read before you read. This is the Goodyear 400, 100 miles less, 293 laps. I was right the first time around this track. The Xfinity drivers will be running 147 laps around this, which again is a really quick race. And then of course the trucks will as well. So as we shape up DFS for this, track leaders and lap leaders are definitely going to be a thing because we've seen in the past somebody come out and lead like 140 laps in the Cup. We've seen several leaders go over 100 laps in any of these races. So, and of course more than half in some of these Xfinity and shorter races. So you got to identify some lap leaders in this one, and you also got to identify the guys that are going to be finishing around the front. So that's sort of the aim at what we're looking for DFS wise.
Yeah, it's again kind of just like Kansas last week, and a lot like Dover the week before too, where you've got more laps led here than the shorter or than the road courses or the super speedways. Don't make as much of a difference in that, right? But yeah, a lot of laps led here, a lot of fast laps, which are kind of going to go hand in hand for the most part. And then place differential and finishing position obviously matter just about as much as they do every other week. So yeah, that's what we're looking at.
That is exactly what we are looking at. So with that in mind, Cody, let's lay out our first building block for the Truck Series DFS contests.
I just can't quit him, Rod. It's throwback weekend. I'm going to throw back to a guy who's been in the series since I was also a little kid. I watched him back at Kansas Speedway when I was about 9 years old too. My guy, Matt Crafton, been all over Crafton here lately, but and talked about him yesterday on the betting episode. Going to talk about him again today because I think it just needs to keep being pointed out how well he's been doing this season, and his track history here is really good as well. So $7,700 for Matt Crafton. Rod, I mean, he's kind of been on a tear. You go back to last week at Kansas, starts 4th, finishes in 10th, doesn't lead any laps, doesn't get any fastest laps, doesn't need any of those. Still shows up with 38 points for you, 35 the week before that, the race before that rather. Go back, he had 43 points. Got 65, 45 at Las Vegas earlier this season. And then those are super speedways, so it doesn't matter before that. But Matt Crafton has shown up this season. We've joked a few times about, is this the young Matt Crafton? Is this the old Matt Crafton? Nobody knows. Been around a long time, Rod. The Truck Series hasn't always gone to Darlington, though. They went back in the day, from 01 to 04. Then they took a break, went back in 10 and 11, then took a break again until 2020, and have been going since then. So he's only got 11 Truck Series starts here, which is more than anybody else in the field, I'm sure. But 11 Truck Series starts, never finished worse than 14th of this track, Rod, and actually had some really good finishes. 12th here last spring, that's fine. 2 years ago in 2022, 5th place. 10th the year before that, 4th the year before that, 14th, then 4th, 6th, 8th, good finishes. And really, if you go back over his last 6 finishes here, Rod, 4th, then 14th, then 4th, then 10th, then 5th, then 12th. Oh, time to get back into single digits, cash that top 5 for us this week, and be another strong DFS play. So Matt Crafton, man, I've been all over him these last few weeks. I just can't quit it because he keeps getting real close to cashing these bets for us, these top 5 bets, and he's been doing really well for me on the DFS side of things. And I think he's going to show up and do it again this week. To the name, right? The Lady in Black, the track Too Tough to Tame. That does play into the veterans' hands, and someone who's been here before knows how it's going to handle. Yeah, you've got some of these younger guys that have never been here, only been here once or twice. While they can perform well as well, that one little thing they're not expecting could catch them up and ruin their day. Crafton knows these things. He's been prepared for it, been through it, and is prepared for it, and he's going to be just fine. So Matt Crafton, 7,700 is my Truck Series guy for the week.
Shout out to the old guys. I'm telling you right now, that's exactly what I want to hear. Like, I want to hear that these old guys can still muscle around this track with the youngins, much like I try to muscle around with the youngins out in the world. And it doesn't always come in my favor, but I will say that for Matt Crafton, like you said, more often than not lately, it actually has. And so I'm with you on Matt Crafton. I don't know. Did we work him into the betting episode? We did.
Yeah, we did. He ended up making the top 5 card.
Yeah. So shout out to yesterday. I just can't remember because, old brain. All right. Somebody that I think is a good building block for you, not one of the higher price drivers, but one of the low to mid tier drivers. And that's Colby Howard. Colby Howard is driving the one truck, not a name we bring up very often because it's not a name that gets rolled out very often. He only has 52 Truck Series starts in his entire career. And honestly, more than anything, this is because he's driving that one truck, and we know how good the Tricon garage is and how those guys are solid rock stars each and every week. So definitely excited about that one. Also, the fact of the matter is that Colby Howard's not bad on this track, no matter what he's driving. In the 9 truck back in 2021, he started 29th, finished 13th. In the 91 truck, the McAnally truck in 2022, started 19th, finished 13th, right? And then last year, he drove the 9 truck again, started 17th, and finished 9th. So, I'm sorry.
91 actually wasn't even McAnally at the time, which makes that even more impressive.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, see, it's listed here as that. So, I'm
sorry.
Is
it listed as McAnally?
Yeah.
Oh,
But maybe it was. I'm sorry. He started 36th and finished 17th. He was driving the 9 truck. So, you want to talk about place differential, right? Starting in the low and high 20s and then finishing somewhere in the teens. That's always great place differential for what you're talking about DFS. A good solid day. He's only had 1 truck race so far this season in which he started 15th in Las Vegas and finished 17th in that race. So lost you a couple spots, but still got you 24 points overall on a $6,900 salary.
Nice.
So you definitely want to make sure that you load up on him. And, again, the thing of the matter is that Colby Howard is not somebody that anybody's probably going to be paying attention to. And honestly, that one truck kind of, it really does carry some weight with it because we know that the 99 is good. The 98 is good. And in fact, we're on all these guys to do well. Well, maybe not Ben Rhodes, but for what you're paying for him, you would take a 17th, 18th place day, maybe even a 15th place day if he can find himself up there. So he's in better equipment than he's probably been in a while. He's a good enough driver to get in that top 15. So give me Colby Howard as your building block at $6,700 this week.
Yeah, definitely a sneaky play for sure, because if you just play in DFS every week and you're not really paying too much attention, well, he's never been in this Tricon truck, I don't think, before. He's generally in lesser equipment. So you're getting a guy who's not a bad race car driver at all in more elite tier equipment. Is he going to run up front all day? Probably not, but he's already shown that ability in lesser equipment to get you the place differentials, to have a good, strong run. And at this cheap price, I think it definitely is worth noting. And again, that's where, if you're listening to this, gives you the advantage of paying attention and not just logging in and being like, Colby Howard, we pass him every week and scrolling right over him, when he does need to be highlighted because he is in a faster truck this weekend. And again, you can look back through his scores and stuff before, but they should be better this week because it's a marketably better car that truck that he's going to be in this week.
Yep. Again, the talent's there. The opportunity is there. So my only thing is that if he qualifies well, I mean, again, he's probably not going to lose you too many points, but you're kind of hoping for him to qualify somewhere in the 20s. That way he can work his way back up through the field and get you some more points that way. So like I said, Colby Howard, good building block for you on your truck series. We are going to give you more of our building blocks for the Xfinity and Cup series. But first, let's tell you about Underdog Fantasy. We're going to tell you all about Underdog Fantasy here in a few, because we're going to give you all of our favorite Underdog Fantasy plays for the entire weekend. But the NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game, it's as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and so much more. And of course, as we know, in the world of racing, as we'll explain, better than or worse than the projected finishing position for the driver. You can make entries of all basketball if you want, if that's your thing, or you can mix and match across all of your other favorite sports like baseball, like hockey, like racing, and you can win up to 100 times your money. It's a lot of fun. Underdog's available in 30 states, including California, Texas, and even Canada. I'm telling you right now, we're going to give you all of our favorite Underdog plays here in just a second. New customers, if you're one, you get a pick'em special in the lobby when you sign up. Underdog's also going to be running a ton of different promos, bonus cash airdrops, specials, giveaways, and more throughout the NBA playoffs. So make sure to go follow at Underdog Picks on Twitter to keep an eye out. Like I said, Underdog's available in 30 or more states, including California, Texas, and Canada. Plus, they just launched Champions, their player versus player format in Florida. Sign up today with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. All right, Cody, let's move to the Xfinity side of the house. Who is our favorite building block, or at least your favorite building block, for the Xfinity race this weekend?
Yeah, just like in the betting market, Rod, the disrespect in the DFS market is here as well. Again, I don't know if these people just haven't watched any Xfinity Series races this season. They've only tuned in the last couple of weeks or what's going on. But you've got William Byron at the top of the board at 12,000. Then it's Allgaier at 11,500, Custer, Almirola. Sheldon Creed is next, Rod. I know Sheldon Creed's been really good at Darlington in Xfinity and in trucks, but it's Sheldon Creed. Then all the way past all these guys is Chandler Smith at 10,300. There's a lot of expensive guys this week. Even Austin Hill checking in next is at $10,000. So really priced up this week. So you are going to have to work some magic to get stuff in. But you're telling me, Rod, you get the best driver in the field, second best, I guess, because William Byron's in this race. But you get him and you get the fastest car in the field. That's not questionable. It's going to be faster than that Hendrick car. We know it is because it is every single week. And he's the guy who scored the third most fantasy points per race so far this season at the sixth highest priced guy on the slate. Again, I just do not understand this. It is still 10,300, but you're going to have to save some money. Why not save some money right here at the top? A lot cheaper than a guy like William Byron, who is, of course, it recycled. I mean, $12,000 all the way up there. So, I mean, you're saving $1,700 by going with the Chandler Smith instead. Again, talked about it, Rod. 7th place last week at Dover, not the end of the world, but was not an impressive run by them at all, right? Not a factor all day, didn't get up there, didn't really lead any laps. So, somewhat concerning there, I will say yes. 25th at day, throw it out because it's a super speedway. 15th at Texas, but he showed speed early in the race, led 26 laps, some bad strategy. Then he got caught up in Sheldon Creed's mess, wrecked, destroyed the car basically, got it repaired enough, fought all the way back for 15th place. So again, asterisks on 2 of those races. Well, one you just throw out. Talladega doesn't matter because it's a super speedway. You can't compare it to anything else. 7th at Dover, not the end of the world. 15th at Texas. But before that, Rod, 3rd at Martinsville where he led 37. He won Richmond where he led 76. 3rd at Las Vegas where he led 74. He won Phoenix where he led 88. He has been fast this season. He's been the best car easily, way better than Sheldon Creed has. I mean, Sheldon Creed's popped his head up here and there, had some chances, and has done a lot of Sheldon Creed things. So yeah, I just don't understand the disrespect on Chandler Smith this week. I think we could easily, and it could go both ways, obviously, as anything could, right? We could look back and be like, oh, well, that's why they didn't like Chandler this week. Sure, but I think it's much more likely we're going to look back and be like, do you remember when he was, what was he, 11-1? Some people got him at 12-1. And he was the 6th highest priced guy on DraftKings because he come out, dominated this race and won. You go back and you look at what he's done this season, and he has had some pretty dominating performances. You go back to Richmond, 79.2 points, starting in 4th, winning the race. He started the Dude Wipes race, 250, 87 points that day. He did start 37th, so that helped a lot, right? Got up to 3rd, led some laps, had some fastest laps. Or Richmond, rather, he led 76 laps. It was 27 fastest laps. So 92 points earlier this season, 82 points earlier this season, 87. And even, 40 at Dover 2 weeks ago, definitely disappointing, but not the end of the world either, at least. So Smith has got the upside to come out, lead every single lap in this race, and perform really well. Going to be in the fastest car. He's proven to be the best regular in the series so far this year. And after, again, a couple of so-so weeks, but with some extenuating circumstances in 2 of those 3, I'm not concerned at all. Give me all the Chandler Smith at a nice discount this week, 10,300.
Yep. I mean, again, he's just been fast, and if it weren't for bad luck, he would be even better off than he has been all season long. And I pointed back, like I did in the Xfinity Series show too, to the fact that, he started in the back in one of those races and just flew his way up through the front and was in contention for the win at one point as well. So, I mean, look, he's just fast, and he's going to be fast each and every week. So definitely a good building block as well. Speaking of just being fast, how about Carson Kvapil? I mean, we didn't really work him into the betting episode because, I mean, how much can you keep on your streak? But I'm willing to take that risk in DFS because, especially in GPP plays, for folks who are still a little gun shy, maybe unaware of him, or I don't know, the casual ones that doesn't pay attention to the fact that he's only been in 2 races this season. However, if they pay close enough attention and they sort by fantasy points per race, they're going to see that Carson Kvapil is the top guy, averaging 63.5 points per race. Now, he's only been in 2 races, but last week at Dover, the last race at Dover, 74 points. He started 26th in that race, finished 2nd. What a move he did, and just all the right moves all day long to get to where he needed to be. 10 fastest laps. He even led 14 laps in that race. So he got you 74 points off of an $8,300 salary. And then at Martinsville, he started 12th, finished 4th. He had 11 fast laps in that. He didn't lead any laps in this one, but he still got you 53 points on an $8,500 salary. Look, Carson Kvapil, say what you will, like, even when he starts in the back in these races, he's still going to be able to charge his way up to the front because he's got a smart crew. He's a smart driver in and of his own right. I mean, he's only made 2 Xfinity starts in his entire career, mind you. We're not talking about this season, which we are, but that's his entire career. Guess what? 2 top 5 finishes, 1 top 3, and 1 just on the cusp. His very first start of the year was a 4th place finish, right? So, and then of course the second start, like I said, he started 26th and charged all the way up to 2nd. Not a lot of track history, not a lot of career history, but the dude has already proven that he is here to play. He's driving that 88 Junior Motorsports car. We know how good Junior Motorsports has been on this track in the past. We talked a lot about it in the Xfinity Series betting episode, as far as his other teammates with Mayer, with Allgaier, with all these guys that are driving with him. He's another one of those guys, and he needs to be recognized when he's on the track. So DFS, I will definitely take a chance on Carson Kvapil. I'm not scared off by his price either. I know that it's $8,300, but I think that's $8,300.
I mean, for the results he's given you so far, that's not a bad price at all. I think he definitely has to be in play. And again, you're going to need some salary relief and some guys with some upside that are a little cheaper, and he provides that to you at 8,300. So, I mean, he's 2 for 2. Is that streak going to go on forever? Probably not, but he's proven so far he's got the ability. And even the last one that he was in, was that at Dover? There was some stuff at the end that kind of got him up there, but hey, he survived. He got up there. I don't know if you've noticed, Rod. Darlington could be a crazy track. That's why it's got a couple of nicknames, and you're going to get your Darlington stripe and all of that. So yeah, he's definitely a guy that's in play this week, and at a good price too for what he's done this season, for the car he's in. Let's not forget, it's a Junior Motorsports car. We know that those cars can be fast, maybe not for certain people that drive them, but in general, they can be fast, Rod, and have proven to be. And that car, actually, the 88 car is 3 for 3, I think, on top 5s, because Bubba Pollard also had his top 5 back at, was that at Richmond or Martinsville, one of those two, whenever he raced. So yeah, the car showed up and been fast in the weeks that it's been out there.
Yep, it definitely knows how to park itself in the top 5, regardless of the driver. So I'll take that for a guy who's $8,300 when I can't count on Creed to do it. I can't count on Austin Hill to do it this week. So yeah, there's a lot of other guys above him that make me scared, but he does not. So we'll definitely roll with him. We'll also roll with some building blocks for the Cup Series, but first, I would like to tell you about Royal Retros. Looking to prove that you know ball? What better way than to showcase your old school fandom than with some old school gear from a classic team? Royal Retros has jerseys, t-shirts, hats, jackets, sweatshirts, and more from the vintage sports leagues and teams that you know and love. The Dirty Bird, the Orange Crush, or the Sack Exchange all make for sick jerseys for real fans. You're looking at 3 of them right now, right? Those San Francisco Seals jerseys. I love those things. And then, of course, the Barcelona Dragons of the World Football League. Man, I would sport that every day and all day on Sunday. And then, of course, my all-time favorite, the Sacramento Gold Miners of the Canadian Football League. Obviously no longer exist, but still the jersey is there for you to wear. And if you like any and all of those, make sure you go check out all the rest of them too, because there's still plenty of them to be had. Not just those 3 sexy ones, but so many others from all of your favorite leagues. Use promo code SGPN for 10% off of your order today. That's code SGPN at royalretros.com to take 10% off today. I'm going to have to use whatever gift I get for Father's Day. I'm going to exchange it for that. No, I'm just kidding.
You just have to direct them in the right direction, Rod, and make sure they know.
I'll leave little hints around, like Sacramento Gold Miners stuff, because I love that jersey. So, all right, Cody.
Just print off the little ad read with the graphic and leave it sitting on the table.
And little hearts.
Yeah.
Around.
Do I like Father's Day? Question mark. Leave it on the kids. Leave it like on the kids' bed or something.
You can be like, Dad, you left.
Yeah. Dad, is this your trash?
Dad, I told you to get your trash out of my room. Sorry, kids. That's what I get. All right, Cody, Cup race. Who do we got to build on?
Yeah. First of all, I was going to give out the play that you're going to give out, but somebody beat me to the documents. So I guess you can have that. So I'll go a little farther down on the board. 9,800 Chase Elliott, Rod. He's a guy that I brought up in the betting show. Basically kind of ran the ladder, the car lift up on him this weekend. I love him. I think he's going to show up. He's running that Dale Jr. throwback, right? The nice looking car that won. I think it was the 2014 Daytona 500. So that's going to be great. He's got the skeleton gloves. They're going to be highlighting that, and they're auctioning those off for charity. So that's going to be great. And he's currently on one of those hot streaks, Rod. When he gets on a hot streak, Chase Elliott is hot, and he shows up and he continues to do it. If you take Talladega out of the mix, which we always do, Rod, because it's a super speedway, 5 races in a row inside of the top 5 at the end of the day. Finished 3rd last week at Kansas, 51.5 points. Nice day for you. You go back to Dover, 69. Nice. 0.3 points. Started again, came out, didn't look great in qualifying, right? Starts 29th, ends up being a great play. 5th place finish for you. You go back to the Auto Trader Echo Park race at Texas, 81.4 points on an intermediate there. Starts 24th. Again, not a great start from him. Fights his way through the field. Leads 39 laps, 8 fastest laps. Wins that race as well, which helps. Richmond, 75.5 points. Starts in 3rd, finishes in 3rd. 41 fastest laps, 64 laps. We know he's got this upside. We know he can get it done. And then you look at what he's done here in the past as well. And he's shown up, especially in the spring races. 3rd place last season. And again, to note, which we didn't bring up, that we brought up earlier in the betting show, but if you haven't listened to that, there's a difference in the spring race and the fall race. The fall race has that extra 100 miles, makes a lot of difference there. The spring race is shorter. So if people tend to be better drastically in one of, there's some guys, like the guy you're going to talk about, that's good in both. Doesn't matter. But if one's drastically better in one side or the other, it's probably because that extra 100 miles either way. And Chase Elliott seems to be better in the shorter one. So 3rd place last season, 5th in 2022. You go back before the next gen car, 7th in 21, 4th in the first doubleheader spring race here in 2020 after COVID. And then again, coming off of this great run, he's a very, very streaky driver. If it's a cold streak, it's a cold streak. If it's a hot streak, it's a hot streak. He's currently on that hot streak. It's been a little bit quieter, right? It's not maybe as flashy as when Larson and Byron do it. He does have the win, though. And if he can put himself in the right position, we know he can lead laps here and have a great day. So when you look at some of his, there's all these guys ahead of him. Hamlin's at the top of the board, and Larson and Byron and Truex and even Reddick and Bell all ahead of him. They're all going to be appealing. Chastain's right behind him. These guys are all going to be appealing to play. Elliott could get a little bit lost in the mix. I think he's going to be a great play this weekend. I'm all aboard the Chase Elliott train, and I think he could be that DFS superstar you need.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on Chase Elliott, especially because we talked about, too, just how good the Hendricks guys even are on this track as well, right? Kyle Larson is one. Like, it's a matter of which one I think is going to be the one that does it. I'm sure Chase Elliott could be one of the good ones, so we'll take that as well. Yeah, I did get to the dock first, my friend, and I stole this one from you for sure. That, of course, is Martin Truex Jr. When you look and you see, I don't know how many other fantasy players do the sorting. Like, I know that a lot of people just sort of grab what they like and go, but I tend to sort a lot because I want to see if the price tells the whole story and if you're getting the value that you want out of a driver, right? And so when you sort, you see that Martin Truex Jr. is second overall in terms of fantasy points per race, second only to Kyle Larson, right? Truex has 52.6 fantasy points per race this season, but he is the fourth highest priced driver so far this week. He's at $10,700. He's one of the pricey ones. I get it. I mean, I know that there's a lot, but he may end up being chalky because a lot of people really do understand how good Martin Truex Jr. is on this track. And so when you look at terms as laps led, he's second only to Denny Hamlin in terms of total laps led in 23 races that he's been in. 914 laps has Martin Truex Jr. led around this track in his career. 978 for Denny Hamlin. The next person after that is Kyle Busch at 899, and then Kevin Harvick at 819. Kyle Larson still kind of back there at 770. So when Martin Truex Jr. drives around this track, Martin Truex Jr. leads laps. In fact, Martin Truex Jr. has led at least one lap in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of his last 8. At least one lap. 7 out of the last 8. In fact, in 2020, in the fall, or that last race of 2020, he led 196 laps. In the spring of 2021, he led 248 laps. Now, he went on to only lead 128, 48, but in the spring of 2023, in this last race, when he looked like he should have won the damn race, instead of tapping the wall and tapping himself out, 145 laps Martin Truex led around this track. Now, he did suffer a pretty bad day in the fall of 2023, but he still started 31st and finished 18th. So not a bad DFS day. I'm sure his price was was pretty high at that point, so didn't make for a good day overall. But even still, he just leads laps, and this season alone, 7 top 10 finishes in 12 starts, 4 top 5 finishes. His last couple of finishes, 3rd place at Dover, 4th place at Kansas. He had a 7th place at Las Vegas. He finished 4th at Richmond. He's just been doing it. This is not the revitalized Martin Truex of a couple of years ago, but it's definitely one that I am willing to take, a risk on $10,700 for in some of my lineups out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely love him this weekend. I'm hoping some people look at his results and they're like, well, he hasn't finished well. I'm tossing those out. I think that the ability to lead laps here, lay down fastest laps that he's shown time and time again on this track, pre-next gen car and in the next gen car. Martin Truex Jr. is a guy who's got to make lineups this week, and will probably be my number one building piece going into the weekend.
Yeah, again, it's going to be chalky for sure, but in cash games, if you don't have him and he leads a ton of laps, you're already going to be toast. You'll be playing from behind, and you certainly probably won't cash, or like double ups or anything like that. You miss out on Martin Truex Jr., you are not getting anything out of the day if he ends up leading all those laps. So,
yep.
All right, Cody, are you ready to move on to our Underdog fantasy plays?
I think I am.
All right. So the premise of Underdog Fantasy, and of course, sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. You're going to get that $250. They bumped it up for you guys. They made it more enticing to get in there and play. So Go make sure you sign up right now if you haven't already. Race SGPN is the promo code. All you got to do, pick better than or worse than the projected finishing position of the driver, and then stack up those multipliers. We can pick up to 5 if you want, and however many you pick determines how much you're going to win. And then you place your money, whatever denomination you want down, and you're good to go. So every week we do it for you. This week, like I said, at the filming of this, at the taping of this, at the recording of this, there is no trucks. So we'll give you just 3 that we like, whether 2 from Xfinity, 1 from Cup, or all from Cup, or whatever. So we'll just start to give you those drivers that we like for this Underdog Fantasy Plays of the Week. Cody, where are we starting?
Well, Rod, I think we should flip the script here, and we should have you go first. Since there is no trucks, you're going to give out 2 Xfinity. I'm going to give out 2 Cups. So I think we start with you. So we cover the 3 Xfinity guys first, and then jump into the Cup, if you're prepared to speak.
I am always prepared to speak. As I was scrolling through the Underdog, and I was looking around the Underdog, right, like the kids say, I noticed a number, a finishing position that I thought was entirely eye-popping, and that was Taylor Gray. We talk a lot about him in the betting episodes, and we've really just made a lot of money off of Taylor Gray because he's been so that good this season so far, right? This has been a different season for Taylor Gray. His finishing position is projected at 13.5, and I don't understand. I mean, look, Taylor Gray in the Xfinity Series, Taylor Gray in the Truck Series has been fantastic, right? But Taylor Gray in the Xfinity Series has been great as well. 3rd place finish in Richmond after starting 27th, a 13th place at Martinsville after finishing 16th, an 11th place at Texas after starting 3rd. Talladega, he's finished 15th. Super Speedway, right? I don't know if he started 13th in that one and finished 15th, but he was around there. He actually led a lap in that one as well. Really what I'm thinking that Underdog looked at was last week at Dover when he crashed out, or the last race at Dover when he crashed out and finished 34th. But let's not forget that he actually started 9th in that race, and he was in the mix for a very, very large portion of that race altogether. And, were he not to have crashed out, who knows where he could have ended up finishing. So you can't really lay that on him so much. And that's why I think maybe everybody's looking at and saying, oh, well, he definitely couldn't finish well in that last race. Maybe he won't finish well in this race. But I'm telling you right now, what we've seen so far, and he doesn't have any track history here, obviously, because he's making his Xfinity debut this season and doing what he's got to do. But he's in that 19 Gibbs car, right? He's fast in that 19 Gibbs car, and he's been laying down the fast laps. He's been laying down all of what you need for him to finish. He's going to finish inside of the top 15. He's going to finish probably inside of the top 10 this week. So you're going to get an extra 3 places to play with for him to fall just outside of the top 10. This is not a stacked crew of folks, right? This isn't much different than what he faces each and every week, with the exception of William Byron. But what does that do? Push him out 1 extra spot to 11th? So yeah, this is low. This is way low for me. I got to seize on this. So give me Taylor Gray better than 13.5 for this race.
Yeah, this is a big overreaction to a couple of crashes. I mean, basically, you're just saying here he's not going to crash, because if he doesn't crash, Rod, he's going to be way faster than finishing 13.5, and he's going to run better there throughout the day. So if he can avoid wrecking, he can avoid some big mistake, which is uncharacteristic of him this season in both the trucks and Xfinity. I wouldn't be concerned about this. So I expect Taylor Gray to be fighting for a top 5 throughout the day, top 10 for sure, top 13 even more for sure. If he can just stay out of trouble, which a majority of the time he does in the Truck Series. Had some bad luck in these last couple of Xfinity Series starts, but going to toss that out. Believe in this, first of all, the speed of the car, because we know how fucking fast these JGR cars are, and the talent of the driver, which we've known for years at this point, is there and has really blossomed and shown through this year. So, I love this play as well, Rod. Another play that I love. Look, I sort of hate to keep going back to the same guy and harping on it, but again, just fucking disrespectful this week. Chandler Smith, 6.5. All he has to do is score a top 6, Rod. Are you fucking kidding me? What? Chandler Smith better than 6.5. I'm not even going to talk anymore about it because this is ridiculous. Why is he at 6.5? Let's look at the entry list. William Byron, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin. No, William Byron's the only guy in the John Hunter Nemechek's in the race, but he's in the 26 car. What are we doing, Rod? 6.5 for Chandler Smith, better than hit it and move on.
What I love is that the best part of podcasting in this is when Cody just can't even get a word out. Like we're
speechless. I'm supposed to be talking and I can't talk because it's such a obvious thing that I don't even know what to say.
It's so endearing. Again, I'm with you on that one. He's going to be a top 5 car. He's going to be a top 3 car probably by
He's going to win this race, and you're kidding him at 6.5. It's blows my mind how disrespectful it is this week. And then on the other hand, you get a guy like Sheldon Creed that's lower odds than him, that's that it's more expensive than him for DFS when it comes to that. I don't think, do they have Creed listed on
7.5 is where he's at.
So he is lower, but still like that seems like much more of a risk at Sheldon Creed. Like he should be better, but he doesn't always get the results. Like again, a couple of bad races from Chandler, some asterisks in there. One of them's a super speedway. So I'm putting this in most of the lineups I make this weekend, and I'm going to live or die on this Chandler Smith play.
Well, then we hope you live because I need a co-host for this show for sure. All right. I'm going to take a guy that you're going to wince. You're going to probably say this isn't the right move, but I'm taking it. And that's AJ Allmendinger, a guy we kind of stay away from in the betting episodes anymore because you never really know. You can't predict too much of him, and they don't give you top 10s in Xfinity. So they do here in Underdog. 10.5 is his position, his finishing position. I'm taking the better than. Why? Well, because in the last 2 races that he's been in 2022, he finished in the inside of the top 10 in this race. He started 5th in 2022 in the spring and finished 8th. He started 19th in 2022 in the fall, finished 3rd. He did lead 5 laps along the way, which has no bearing whatsoever on anything. But I will say that in 2021, he actually had a couple of good runs too. To start, didn't finish there. He started on the pole in the spring of 2021, started 2nd in 2022 or 2021 in the fall rather. In those races though, 13th and 20th were his finishes, but he did lead laps along the way. AJ Allmendinger this season, he has got 5 top 10s, 1 top 5 in 10 starts. But let's look at those top 10s, right? He got a 6th place in Las Vegas. He got a 4th place in Texas. He got a 6th place at Dover. So 3 pretty decent top 10s. I didn't count the top 10 in COTA because, of course, that is a road course. And I didn't necessarily count the top 10 at Daytona because, well, that's a super speedway. But again, on tracks that kind of matter to our argument. Like I said, a 6th place at Vegas, a 4th place at Texas. Unfortunately, he got a 14th place at Richmond, but he did start 7th in that race. And that was a little disappointing because I think we had something on him as well. So, like I said, AJ Allmendinger, I think he's going to get inside of the top 10 this week. I feel a good run coming from that 16 car. He's done it already a couple of times, a couple of seasons ago. And, again, he's got to do something soon. I know it's boiling over for him. Colleagues # chasing trophies, like Cody always likes to say. And so far, the only trophies they're chasing are the participation trophies. So they need to hurry up and get something going.
It is 2024, Rod. So at least they're up with the times.
I love it. But yeah, AJ Allmendinger better than 10.5.
Yeah, I like this actually. If you look at the last couple of intermediates we've been to, again, we're tossing Talladega out of there. 6th place at Dover, 4th place at Texas. Now the Texas did have some extenuating circumstances, but Darlington could too as well, right? Also 6th place at Las Vegas earlier this season. So I know that Darlington it's a little shorter than it's bigger than Dover, but it is a true intermediate track. I think that especially, we don't get Kansas with the Xfinity guys to look at, but Las Vegas is a great comparison for it. And even Dover, because it's got its elements of trickiness, yet it's still the intermediate type of track. So he's been getting it done, and he's one of those guys like an Austin Hill that's going to hang out near the top 5. AJ Allmendinger is going to hang out near the top 10 every week. All you have to do is get a top 10 here. So I like it, Rob.
Thank God, because I didn't want to have to keep
get my stamp of approval, which is hard colleague car. So I don't know if you noticed when I posted my daughter's winning softball team last weekend from our championship, I did use the hashtag chasing trophies because
you sure as heck
unlike colleague, we actually were chasing trophies and we got the trophies. So again, shout out to those girls. But all right, Rod, you might have took him in the DFS part of things, but I get him in the underdog part of things. Martin Truex Jr. better than 6.5. You made all of the points that I need to. Roddy's over 4 in the next gen car, finishing better than this at Darlington. So that's the only sort of flag. But really, I'm throwing it out. And again, I'm just going to go back to Ryan and iFantasy Race's tweets about this because they're all perfect. Basically saying all of the finishes are outliers. And to be 4 for 4, not finishing is the little bit of a scary part, but so much belief and faith in Truex. We know that he can get it done. He's just had some bad circumstances happen. He's going to lead a lot of laps. He's going to be up front. He's going to be in the mix. I think he'll finish better than 6.5 pretty easily. Would not be surprised if he wins this race. Hence why I bet on him at 7-1 as well if you missed the betting episode. But yeah, let's go back and look. 2023 in the fall, 18th place. But as Ryan says, don't read into it. 19th, or the number 19 got into the wall during practice and qualifying. Chose not to repair it, keep their starting spot thinking things were fine. They weren't, he says. Also made an unexpected pit stop for a loose wheel while running 15th on lap 155. Then you go back to the 2023 spring race, 31st place finish, but was arguably the best car in the race. Won stage 1, spun out while battling for the lead in stage 2, led 145 laps, crashed at the end while running in 3rd place. Easily would have cashed your better than 6.5 right there, right? 2022 in the fall, 31st place finish. He was leading late, led 48 laps, water pump issue. That's why the 31st place. So again, that's kind of an outlier, battling for 3rd place. Yeah, you still have to finish these races, but it's not that he wasn't running good. It's not that he wasn't good. He was just good for it, didn't get it. That's going to happen sometimes. Happened to a guy like Denny Hamlin a few weeks ago. He wrecks out of Texas. He comes back and makes up for it at Dover next week, right? So 2022 in the spring race, 24th place, but led 28 laps, 5th in stage 1, 2nd in stage 2, 6.4 average running position, 6.4 better than 6.5, Rod. Average running position, lap 260 while in 4th place, crashed during a restart. So if we get late restarts, hold your breath if you got some Truex stuff going on, because that. But 4th in 2021 in the second race, and then in 2021 in the spring race, display of domination, won both stages and the race, 248 laps he read, perfect total speed ranking for iFantasy Race. And then also his impressive fact, since 2022 at Darlington, despite 5 asterisk mark results over the last 8 races, 2nd best driver rating, 2nd best average running position at 8.6, and average leading the most laps at 75.8. So 0 worry for Martin Truex this week. Again, the results haven't been there, but it's not because he's just been out to lunch. It's not because all these other things, extenuating circumstances, multiple wrecks while inside the top 5, a water pump issue, not much you can do about that. So not worried about Truex. 6.5 is a gift for him. He should easily be a top 6 car in this race, and potentially will be one of the guys battling for the win at the end of this.
Yeah, if he's not a top 6 car, if he's not a top 5 car, then something went horribly wrong for Martin Truex Jr. So one of the pianos probably left over from the race that Majeski fell on Majeski or Allgaier, missed both of those and landed on Truex. So yeah, that's about the only way I could see him not being a top 5 car this week as well. All right, I'm going to go out on another limb. I did not know that I was waking up this morning to choose. Well, I mean, look, I'm back to my optimistic ways, right? I'm back to my better than days. So maybe the extra cup of coffee that I had this morning got me all nice and jolted up for better thans. But I saw Bubba Wallace's number, and I thought, I want to take the worst then, because Bubba has been struggling the last few weeks, and maybe that bleeds over to Darlington. But then I looked at what he's done at Darlington over the last 3 races, and I said, you know what? No, I'm going to be optimistic about Bubba Wallace. So I'm going to take Bubba Wallace. His finishing position is set at 12.5. Give me the better than. And what am I talking about as far as finishing positions at Darlington over the last 3 races? Well, in 2022, in the fall, he actually drove the 45 car. Remember when Kurt Busch couldn't do it and he had to slide in there? So he took over the 45 car, but he took it from 8th place and finished 9th place. Actually led 4 laps in that race as well. So solid top 10 finish, which is by my counts better than 12.5 when it comes to finishing position. Then, of course, in the spring of 2023, back in his own ride, started on the outside pole, led 3 laps, finished 5th in that race, but still safely inside of that 12.5 barrier. In the fall of 2023, he started 19th and finished 7th. Now, again, we're talking about another extra 100 miles to get up there, but in the last 3 races that he's been in, he has been a top 10 car on this track. You look at what he's done as far as next-gen speed rankings are concerned. Bubba Wallace sits safely in 11th, tied with Eric Jones, by the way, as far as total speed rankings in the next-gen era here on this track. We look at the conventional speed rankings, thanks to iFantasy Racer and our friend Ryan over there. Bubba sits at 13th right now at conventional tracks. Again, I know 12.5 sits right on that mark, but when you kind of bump someone up, I give him the benefit of the doubt to bump up as opposed to bumping down into 12th. As far as the Darlington 2023 total speed rankings, Bubba Wallace was 8th place in that one as well. I mean, look, this season has kind of been a bummer in certain aspects for Bubba, right? In 12 starts, he's only got 4 top 10s, but 3 of those have been top 5s. His average finish is 17.8. His average start is 13.2. But look, I'm looking at Martinsville. This is where I think his Martinsville and Texas are where I think his ceiling is as far as where he could be right now. And that's a 4th place at Martinsville after starting 2nd, and then a 7th place finish at Texas after starting 10th. He has actually led 29 laps this season, which means he's been a front runner at different aspects of it, but crashed out of Talladega, ended up getting collected in Dover, right, when he was running somewhere inside of the vicinity of a top 12 finish, but he got collected in Dover. Kansas was just not a good day for him. He ended up finishing 17th in that one, but overall, I think Bubba Wallace is going to have a bounce back day this weekend, and I think he's going to finish safely inside of the top 12. So give me Bubba Wallace better than 12.5.
Yeah, no argument from me here. I really like it. A little bit hard to trust at times, but he should be better than a 12.5 place driver on a week-to-week basis. So not going to argue with you on that one, Rod. All right, to finish it off, Alex Bowman better than 14.5. Back to what are we paying any attention to anything, Rod? I don't understand it. 12 races this season, 7 top 10 finishes for Alex Bowman. And you're getting this at better than 14th place, 14th or better, 14.5, right? So 7th place at Kansas he's coming off of, 8th place at Dover. I'll toss Talladega in there because it helps my momentum argument at least, right? 5th place there. We know it doesn't really count, but hey, the momentum's still riding, right? 32nd at Texas, so that was kind of before the momentum started, or in the middle of, had some issues there. Not worried about it. 8th place at Martinsville the week before. The results at Darlington, much like Martin Truex, haven't been there, right? So he's only started 3 races because he missed last spring with his back injury. 2 wrecks for him in two of the 3 races, and then 10th place in the other one, the one that he actually got to the end. So if he can avoid wrecking, which obviously is key, he's going to be a top 10 car. He's going to be a top 14 car for sure, I think, from Alex Bowman. So Bowman, a guy that I really like this weekend. Again, a couple of wrecks, outliers, not too worried about it. I don't have all the stats on where he was running and stuff, but Bowman, as much crap as he takes, as much as I know he doesn't live up to what his teammates do, he is very consistent. He's always going to be right there in the mix, just hanging out. That's all you need from him when you're taking a better than 14.5. I might even consider this if it was like 10.5. So 14.5, you're really getting a great number here from Underdog. So love some Alex Bowman, better than 14.5.
Love it. And if you're someone keeping score, Alex Bowman ranking 10th right now in total speed rankings to date at conventional tracks heading into Darlington. Make sure you check out our friends over there at iFantasyRace.com. They have some fantastic stats for you to go off of if you would like to just further down the rabbit hole from what we give you. Obviously, we could spend all day talking to you about these drivers, but we don't want to overload you. So if you want to continue to overload yourself, there's plenty of great stats over there. So, all right, get out your pen and paper. We are going to go over the DFS and Underdog plays for this weekend's races. Cody started you out with a truck building block of Matt Crafton at $7,700 for the truck race. I said Colby Howard at $6,700 would be a good truck building block. In the Xfinity race, Cody gave you Chandler Smith at $10,300. I said Carson Quapple at $8,300 would be a great building block for the Xfinity race. In the Cup, Cody gave you Chase Elliott at $9,800. And I gave you Martin Truex Jr. at $10,700. For the underdog plays, Cody gave you Chandler Smith better than 6.5 in the Xfinity race. I said Taylor Gray would be better than 13.5 in the Xfinity race. I also said AJ Allmendinger would be better than 10.5 in that same race. And then in the Cup race, Cody gave you Martin Truex Jr. better than 6.5. I gave you Bubba Wallace better than 12.5. Cody gave you Alex Bowman better than 14.5. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our DFS plays and underdog fantasy plays for the Darlington weekend, the throwback weekend, the fun weekend on the track too tough to tame, the lady in black, whatever you call her, we call her a great weekend of racing.
Yeah, should be a really fun weekend. I'm excited. Let's go make some money at Darlington. Enjoy the truck race this evening. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there as well. Mother's Day weekend. So, fellas, don't forget to take care of your moms and your wives. Don't forget about the wives if they're mothers as well. And happy Mother's Day to all the ladies out there.
Indeed. And hopefully you win a little extra money to take them out on an even better little date out there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Honey, let's watch this race, and then we'll see how nice your dinner's going to be.
That is a great way to get her cheering for whatever.
Probably not. Yeah. Well, that's I'd be careful with that strategy. Depends on how your wife takes things.
See, baby, that's the 81 car. If that car wins, then we go to steak dinner.
See, that's why you got to get invested in the Xfinity Series on Saturday, so you know what the plan is on Sunday.
if this car wins. Look, I got so excited about them. If this car wins, you're eating steak. If this car loses, then you're making dinner. So that's all there is to it.
She'll be a fan real quick.
Real quick. All right, guys. Let's let you go on your weekend and get your DFS lineups set and your underdog fantasy picks in the can before it's all said and done. So, Cody, as we head out the door, as we always do, remind everyone where they can find you on social media.
Yep. Follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. Article out, sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Some underdog plays, some repeats from this show, but some different ones as well. So make sure you check that out if you want some extra picks and plays. And let's have ourselves a weekend.
Indeed. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, whether it's in between media, whatever I got, it's all there for you. All right, everybody, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Throwback Weekend. Enjoy all of Darlington and what it has to offer. We'll be back on Sunday and or Monday for the recap. We'll figure that one out as hopefully weather's not a factor this time. But, we'll figure it all out. Until then, everyone, let's go racing and let it ride.